Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a full crystal collection tour video. Some things I won't be including in this video are my crystal jewellery. I have quite a lot of bead bracelets and other pieces, like for example I'm wearing some moldavite and some emerald. I probably have 4 or 5 necklaces, quite a lot of rings. I'm not going to be going through any of that. These are just kind of my physical chunky pieces. And because I know I'll get questions, most of the crystals I'm about to show you are from the Honeymoon Apothecary. I probably have got maybe 1 or 2 maximum from anywhere else. So I do have a favourite place to shop and I do recommend them, and I'll put the link to them in the description of this video. If you're here for book things, alas, there's no books in this video, but I will be back for you next week with another bookish video. But other than that, let's dive into the crystals. I actually started buying crystals, I want to say about 18 months ago, and I specifically started buying them to have as props in my Instagram images, Bookstagram images. It's developed a bit since then, and I have now amassed quite a collection, or at least what I think is quite a collection. I definitely feel a little bit crystalled out at the moment. And this video is very much going to be me showing you just the crystals I own. I'm not going to be going through any properties or anything like that, so this is not, if you want to learn about crystals, this is not the video. This is just purely from here's what I have. And I have to say, I'm not the best crystal girly to talk to about any of this stuff. A lot of these pieces I have bought for decoration, ornamentation, or as I said, for props for my Bookstagram images, but I know that over the last year I've started to get more and more questions about my crystal collection and what I have, so hopefully this video will help out you guys who've been wondering what pieces I have knocking around. Without further ado, let's get stuck in. I'm going to start with what I think I'm most well known for, and that is having a ton of crystal foxes. I don't know why the nine-tailed fox specifically is a carving that I love, but I do have a lot of them. I've got 9 here and then I have another 2 on the way. And this one is actually the very first fox I ever bought. This is actually also the very first ever like larger carving that I bought, and this is a beautiful flower agate fox, and it's a like smokier style of flower agate, which I really love. I don't know what drew me to you, but you really sent me down a deep hole of foxes. Most of the foxes I have are a very similar style. I have a couple that are slightly different, but most of them follow this carving. I think they're all, I don't know if these are hand carved and they're all slightly different, but definitely they are all like smidge little differences between all of them. But for the most part, I'd say they follow the same kind of style, with the tails being up and the little fox down here. I don't know what it is about these. I just love them. I love them as decorative pieces. I have them all over my house. The next one is probably my least favourite of my crystal foxes, but only because it's a crystal that I'm not specifically drawn to, a fan of, and it's blue onyx. It's not that I dislike this at all. It is beautiful. I bought this at a time when I was buying lots of different foxes. When they had the flower agate one in, they then got some other ones in, and I was like snapping up every crystal I could get these in, and it just so happened to be they had a blue onyx one in at the time. Now they definitely do a lot more different foxes and a lot more different crystals, so would I have picked this over some of the others? Probably not. And I think mainly aesthetically as well, I don't collect a lot of blue. Most of my favourite crystals are moonstone, agates, moss agates, things like that. So this just kind of stands on its own. It's just a little blue onyx baby that just kind of sits in its own space with nothing else around it that's blue, but she is still beautiful and I still appreciate her. The biggest fox I have is actually one of my newest foxes, and this one is a bloodstone fox. I forget how heavy this is every time I pick it up. I don't know what it is about bloodstone. Bloodstone is growing on me. I've gone from having no bloodstone and not remotely being interested in it to having a huge fox and a sphere. I think I only have 2 things in this crystal still. I don't actually see a lot of it around. But yeah, there's something about this ginormous bloodstone fox that clearly called to me. I don't know if it's like the fantasy, like, blood lover within me. Does that make sense? I don't know. It looks like this fox has been in some kind of Quicksilver battle and there's like blood up its tail. I don't know. Hey, look, I've decided I like bloodstone, okay? My other favourite fox, and it's probably a crime that this is not going to show off its flashes really well on camera, is this beautiful moonstone fox. Moonstone is another crystal that I collect quite a bit of. I really do like this stone. Don't know what it is about this one particularly. It's so flashy. Like in real life, in front of my eyes, has a ginormous blue flash along the whole front. I don't think it's showing up on camera. I did try test recording this and I twisted it in a bunch of different ways and I just could not get the flash to show up. So like recognizing I'm not under studio lighting, I've got no real sun hitting me at the moment, it's a bit grey outside, maybe this would show up with some different flashes, but in person you're just gonna have to trust me, this is beautiful. As I said, some of them do look slightly different and this is one of them. This is a moss agate fox. I actually again have another one of these on the way, but in that style rather than this style. When I saw this one, I liked the fact it looked like it had a moon in its tail. I don't know, this one felt like a fantasy fox books. Maybe that's why I like these. Obviously I'm a fantasy book reader. Maybe the Nine-Tailed Fox and like the mythology and the fantasy is just getting me. But I had to pick this up. This isn't my preferred style of moss agate, but it is still really, really beautiful. So this got added to my collection. This is another one that I picked up really early on into my fox collection journey, and this is a gorgeous ocean jasper. This is like a really red and dark green style of ocean jasper. Ocean jasper is another crystal that I don't have a lot of. Again, I'm not particularly drawn to it, but I was drawn to this specific fox. This fox was really doing it for me. I think because of all that dark green on the back, it was just really selling me on ocean jasper. One thing you'll notice about my collection is I collect a lot of the same crystals, just in slightly different variations. There's some outliers that I don't use a lot for images, just because I don't find that I am gravitated towards picking them to go with books and things like that, mainly because they're just really bright and I'm mainly photographing dark, gritty, gloomy fantasy books. But I do have, so for example, one of those crystals is rose quartz. I do have like a couple of pieces in this crystal that I don't get much use out of in terms of as props or as photography, but I still do really enjoy to have around. So this one is also one of my bigger ones. This is a gorgeous rose quartz fox, and again in person she's super glowy. I don't know how she's showing up on camera. Another one that is a slightly different shape, and this is another crystal that you won't see a lot of in my collection actually. This is dream amethyst. This one is definitely shorter. I used to keep this by my bed because it's supposed to be good at helping you sleep, but she's just, I don't know what it is about amethyst. I think it's the pinks, the purples, the blues, anything that's like a really saturated colour that's not a neutral tone, I just don't vibe with as much. So this is beautiful, this is gorgeous. I do enjoy having her, but I'm not really an amethyst girly, so I don't know. I like her similar to the blue onyx one. I don't regret getting it, but it's definitely one of my least favourite foxes, only because some of the other crystals are much more my speed. And then my last fox for now is, I believe this is black tourmaline in quartz. If you think this is something different, let me know, but I'm pretty confident that's what this is. They had a gold rutiling quartz one as well, which was beautiful, and I can't remember if I ordered one of those or not. Honestly, this fox buying problem is becoming an actual problem. This is a beautiful, as I said, black tourmaline in quartz, and again, this is a really good example of like that style that I like, where they have like the tail coming up and it's like the taller carving. I don't know why I'm drawn to this carving in particular, but I am, and I like it, and this one is a newer one. That's all of my foxes. I've tried to put some kind of order to what we're going to be going through. So I'm going to go through my other large carvings. I've only got 4 other bigger carvings, and then the rest are all kind of like tower spheres or individual crystals that I'll go through. This next one was my second large carving, and I bought this at the same time that I bought the fox. I think these are potentially from the same cut of flower agate, but I had to pick up this beautiful fantasy dragon with the druzy in the wing. Like, let me show you these together. This is still the only large dragon carving I have. I actually thought originally I'd probably have more of these than these. The foxes have just spoke to me more, I guess. But I saw these two as a pair and I was like, they would look perfect. I didn't anticipate buying all the foxes after that, but I do really like these. I think I got these maybe within a week of each other, maybe at the same time, I don't remember. They were definitely close by because they came in the same order, and I do seem to think because they're such a similar style of flower agate, maybe they came from the same piece. Nonetheless, super beautiful. But this time we have a dragon. This next big piece is probably the heaviest thing I have, and I actually won this. In one of the lives. It is a yellow jasper Buddha head. I don't know what to do with this. I don't have any other yellow jasper. It's currently just in my bathroom. And I know lots of people love to collect the Buddha. I don't have many Buddhas. I have, except for this one, I have 2 others. They're much smaller pieces. They're not like big, chunky heads like this one. I wouldn't be surprised if this was like 5 or 6 kilos. It's so heavy. But yeah, here she is. I feel like I need to name her. And I'm very, very grateful. I can't believe I won her. But I did, and she lives in my bathroom and she kind of fits the vibe in there. The other thing I've dangerously really fallen in love with is money frogs. This one isn't a large carving, but this is the first money frog I came across. This is an orange calcite money frog. Again, this is the only thing I have in orange calcite. He was super cute. They're supposed to be really good for luck and abundance and bringing money into the home. And it was then I saw this beast. This is a green fluorite frog in a slightly larger format. He is beautiful and juicy and oh so dark green. And these ones, the coins actually come out of their mouth. I'm pretty sure there's a ritual you can do with these, but I just like having them in my house, and if they bring me luck, it's a bonus. If you have any name suggestions for these 2 frogs, the foxes don't feel like they need names. The frogs do. So if you have any name suggestions, let's call this frog 1. What do we call him, frog 1? Put your name suggestions below. And then we also have frog 2. This is a beautiful moonstone one. I said I was quite a big fan of this stone. And again, usually this frog has a massive blue flash down the back that I can see, but I don't think it's going to pick up on camera. But this is frog 2. Help me think of a name for this guy. The next sections are going to be random. I'm either going to go by crystal or by shape. I will note as well, there's two things I've not included, which are two pendulums, just because they're tucked into my shelf. So I've got a strawberry quartz and a rose quartz pendulum tucked somewhere. I mentioned I had a couple of bits of rose quartz, so let's quickly go through those. So other than the fox, the only other piece of rose quartz I have, which I'll show you later when I'm just doing a bunch of like smaller towers, I'll just like quick fire through. I do have a slightly larger, chunkier rose quartz tower, which is I think this is in my latest order. This is a newest piece for me. I don't actually really get that much rose quartz. I said earlier it's just not something that I'm particularly drawn to, but I do like having some in my house. I've got like a little pink display with a couple of different bits. Also, the fantasy lover in me had to snap this up when I saw it. This one is a rose quartz little dagger. I never know what to call these things, like chunks. This one is a bit of rose golden healer. I do have another piece of rose golden healer, but this feels more rose quartzy and that piece feels more golden healery, so this is in the rose quartz section. And the last thing I have is a rose aura coin. So this is rose quartz with an aura coating. I have quite a bit of aura in my collection, so I'll show you some more of that later, but this is the only one that I have that is rose aura. As I mentioned, I do have a couple of pieces of golden healer as well. So one of my favorite pieces is this gorgeous golden healer flame. This one, again, this isn't a crystal I collect loads of, but I do have a couple of pieces. This one has some really clear bits at the top. I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but that is why I picked up this specific flame. I could have put this tower in the tower section because this is kind of the size as the other towers I'll talk about later, but I've just whacked it in with the rest of the golden healer. This one is, I believe, a rose quartz golden healer base. It is a little bit pinky, but it's more on the golden healer side, so that's why I sit it over here. I then also have, and I use this a lot in my photography, actually, you've definitely seen this moon around, a gorgeous golden healer moon. This does have a bit of fire quartz or hematite or something here, I think, and she's really, really beautiful. This last thing I'm so sad about because I recently broke it. I do have the pieces to put it back together, so I'm going to try and glue it. This was a gorgeous golden healer star, so it was like a longer piece down here somewhere. As you can see, I have snapped this bottom section off. However, I've kept the bottom section, so I'm going to try and put it back together. This is something else I use a lot in my images, particularly when I've got anything that's got lots of gold foiling on it, because it just looks beautiful together. I completely forgot to mention that whilst I only have one big dragon, I do have a number of dragon heads. So this one is a moss agate dragon head. I also have a silver sheen obsidian one. This one is a pink opal. This one is one of the ones that's from somewhere else that's not Honeymoon Apothecary. One of my favourites has to be this gorgeous emerald little dragon head. And then I also have this gorgeous shiny flashy lepidolite one, a white jade, two teeny tiny little moss dragon heads, teeny tiny baby golden healer one, and then even smaller is a teeny tiny green aventurine one. Moving on to moonstone. I thought I had a lot more moonstone than I do, but I think it's because I've already got like the fox and the frog, and I actually have a lot of moonstone jewellery. So these are my pieces that aren't jewellery or any of those big carvings. This is just one big moonstone tower. I've said I'm sorry about not being able to show you the flashes, but this one actually doesn't have any blue flashes. It does have some really nice silver ones, which is not normally my preference for moonstone, but it is a really nice big chunky piece. I also have a beautiful moonstone star. This one is super blue flashy. I don't know if it's showing up on camera. A gorgeous blue flashy palm stone. Palm stones are something else I don't really have a lot of, which feels like I should. And then a really flashy blue moonstone moon. I don't think the flash is going to be showing up on this one either, unfortunately. I don't think any of the moonstone flashiness. You're just going to have to trust me. I also have 3 chunky moonstone spheres. Do I need 3 of them? No. Do they all do something slightly different? Sure. I've got this one, which is the most like black moonstone-y looking moonstone. It's not quite black moonstone, I don't think. And this one isn't particularly flashy, but it is just like a really nice neutral moonstone to have. I use these pretty much in every single image ever. Then I also have this one, which is completely white on one side and then definitely more of a black moonstone on the other. This does have a blue flash across here, but again, I don't think that's going to show up. And then the final one that I have is like maybe eclipsite-ish. It looks like there's some sunstone inclusions in this to me. There's some gold flashes, so I'm not 100% sure, and it does have some gorgeous blue in there as well, but I don't think it's going to show up. I don't know how well that's showing up, but there's some kind of reddy bronzy patches around here. Whilst I'm on spheres, let me cover off the rest of them because I don't actually have loads. I have this gorgeous deep red fire quartz. Now what's not going to show up on camera, I don't think, is that this white section really looks like an eye, but it has a blue flash in. I really don't think that's going to show up. I'm hoping it is, but I saw this and I was like, what's in fire quartz that's making it flash blue? I also have a gorgeous, I think technically rainbow fluorite, but mainly green. There's a bit of purple around the back. I also have a bloodstone sphere. This is that crystal that I said I have the fox in and one other thing, and it's just this sphere. I also have this one, which I always forget what this is called. I think it's Septarian jade. To me, it just looks like the slices of a Mars bar. It looks delicious. Up next, I'm going to do a little HQ section. I just have a couple of pieces in here that don't really fit within anything else else. Obviously all of this I think is quite nice quality because that's why I've bought it. But these pieces, particularly for whatever reason, are like the high quality pieces in my collection. This is a Lemurian quartz flame. This is the only Lemurian quartz I have, and I don't think I have any other types of clear quartz. Maybe like, I've got some angel, is that? I don't know, who knows. This one I really liked. I have not since bought any more Lemurian because it is pricier, but I do really like this piece. But yes, this is a beautiful Lemurian flame. It definitely makes me want more Lemurian. It has lots of different, are they called veils? I don't know, all this mistiness in the bottom where it's all kind of flashy and shiny. And then recently I've gone through a real smoky quartz kick. The first thing I picked up recently was a smoky quartz flame. I don't know what it is about the smoky quartz. I've never really wanted to own any of it. I've got some of it in jewellery, but I've bought it as something like kind of, they're not big, but bigger pieces recently. I've also recently picked up this tower. Now, smoky quartz comes in quite a few different ways. Lots of people will prefer kind of rainbows and flashes and lots of things in their smoky quartz. I like quite a clear smoky quartz. And then the last smoky quartz piece I have is actually a double terminated point on a stand, but it does come off, so let me show you off the stand. This, again, I just thought was lovely quality. It's really clear. Lots of people like their smoky quartz with rainbows and inclusions and lots of stuff in. I personally like it quite clear, and when I saw this I thought it was perfect. Something I love buying is crystal homewares. I have a whole bunch of coasters on my lap, so let's go through those. Up first, I have these two snow quartz coasters. These have a silver plating on the side. And then I have some similar in a rose quartz with the gold plating. Then I'm a big agate fan. I have a lot of different agate ones. I'm going to quickly show you them all. So here's two, here's another two. And then I also have these two, which are definitely more carnelian-y. And then two that are definitely more of like a white agate with that kind of shattery style to them. And because I love those so much, I also picked up a ginormous agate slab with a gold plating around the edge. I think it's called electroplating. This one has a really open druzy in the middle. I just use this as like a sideboard piece, and sometimes I put like things on it. If I need to leave like a piece of paper or a receipt, I'll just leave it on here or underneath, tucked underneath it. One of my favourite pieces, actually, like really underrated. I never use this in images. Maybe I should. Maybe I could have like a book on this. That would look great, right? I think so too. I then have a lot of other agate that I have stored around, like these platters and things. So first up is two agate towers. So here is the first one, and this second one, which I don't know, this one just kind of struck me as more summery. Look, it's beautiful. And there's how they look together. And next up I have a couple of agate spheres as well. So I've got these two larger ones. My husband likes to think this is the Eye of Sauron sphere. These are all agate. It just comes in a couple of different colours. So this one is definitely more carnelian-y. Then I have this one, which is definitely more your lighter grey toned. And then I also have one of these really white style grey, snowflakey, kind of wintry agates that I really enjoy too. The final piece of normal agate that I have, I mean I might have some of the towers that are smaller, but I think this is the final piece, is a gorgeous kind of more neutrally shade agate moon. This also is one of the only other pieces I have that's not from Honeymoon Apothecary. I do, however, have quite a bit of aura agate. I went through a real aura agate phase, so this is just agate with a aura coating. I think it's like a titanium coating. It just looks different. It just makes it super kind of holographic-y looking. So this is just a slice on a stand. And then I also have this absolute unit, which is like, I don't know, half a geode cut in, I don't know. What is this? It's just a big slice, a big like cave of shiny aura agate. And then I have some smaller aura agate in my collection as well. So I have another moon. This time it is in with the aura coating. Really randomly, an aura agate bat. And then I have a couple of aura agate, I don't know what these are called, they're like little points, I don't know. By far the crystal I have the most of in my collection is moss agate. I'm going to start quick firing through some of this because it's the same crystal, it's just in different formats. I have these two chunkier moss towers. I have lots of smaller ones that I'll include in the small tower section, but these are the two that I have that are bigger. Possibly my favourite moss tower though is this gorgeous dark green, super druzy, smokier tower. I just think this is absolutely gorgeous. I should have really spoke about this when I spoke about the carvings, but I have this gorgeous dragon. I'm going to need to show you him on a shelf or something. So this is his head. He comes in 3 parts. Here is his body. And then his little moss tail. I've put him on the shelf behind me so you can kind of see how he looks when he's all together, but he just comes in 3 parts. He's a like sea style dragon. I have two of these cylinders and these are in a smokier moss. This is definitely my preference. I prefer maybe a slightly clearer smokier moss, but this is definitely my favourite style of moss agate. And then I also have this tower. He's a little bit bigger than some of the other ones, so I've included him in this moss section, but he's super white. Really randomly, I have this cat with a third eye. I'm not a big cat person. I feel like there's a lot of crystal cats. I'm seeing less crystal sausage dogs, which is the dogs that I have, but this is a crystal cat with a third eye. I think this is quite cute. I wish I got a different style of moss in this, but this was the last one that they had available. Also, I said my moss collection was full of random bits, and it is, so here is a random moss cube. I also have two moss eggs. I see a lot of crystal eggs. I don't have a lot of crystal eggs. I don't know why. As a shape, it doesn't really vibe with me. I definitely prefer a sphere, but I have two of these, and again, these are that darker style moss that I like. And then I have two pieces that aren't really towers, but kind of fit within the point section, I guess. So I have this piece, which is a much lighter style of moss agate. And then this is one of my favourite pieces of moss, just for the style of moss. It has this really lovely kind of mossy effect. Do you know what I mean? It looks like it's got actual moss in there. It's beautiful. There was another sphere hiding from me. I would have included this in the sphere section, but this is a beautiful sparkly moss sphere. And again, this is that smokier style that I really like. And then I also have a larger style moss moon as well. This one I actually keep on a stand, but I take it off its stand a lot, and I use this in a lot of my Instagram images. This next bit is the random moss selection, as if it hasn't already been really random. I have a couple of dishes, so I have this one, which is a beautiful heart dish. And I have a very similar thing in a moon shape. I actually have these on my bedside table, and I use them to put like rings and things in. And then I also have this moss star. A moss diamond. I actually got this because I didn't have any moss like this. It's a pretty 50-50 split, but I like the red moss in there. And the final bit of moss for now, at least, is a gorgeous moss coin. These next bits are some random things. I'm actually going to completely stand away from the camera in a moment and show you all of the towers and then also some mini carvings. I feel like you've seen my face enough this video, and actually I think it's going to be easier for you to see some of these smaller pieces if I'm on the other side of the camera, so you will see them, don't worry. But before I go into that, I have two additional moons. So I have this one. This one is a tremolite moon. And then very similar in size, this one is a pistachio calcite moon. This is the randomest section. I didn't know where to put these things. There's a crystal I'm trying to collect more of, and that is serpentine jade. I literally just have this palm stone that I wish I had more of. I also have a polished black tourmaline palm stone. I also have this flashy labradorite freeform. I'm not really a lab girly. I feel like you're either into lab or moonstone or both. I'm definitely a moonstone girl of the two. And then super random, but I also have this chocolate calcite dish, which I think looks really great to put all of my like things in. Before I jump into the weird and wonderful little carvings and all of my smaller towers, I also have these two specimens. I don't actually know what they are. I seem to think this blue one is celestite, but I don't know. So if anyone knows, let me know in the comments. First up of my smaller carvings, I have this gorgeous flashy moonstone Buddha. And I also have a labradorite Buddha. In the same crystals, I have these little turtle dragons. I believe these are called longui, but if you know what these are, do let me know in the comments below. So that one was moonstone, and then this is the labradorite one. I also have a flower agate crow. This is actually a gift by my friend Laura, and I keep this near my dark academia books. I also happen to have this little rose quartz strawberry for seemingly no reason. I just thought it was super cute. And this beautiful flashy fire quartz moon. I actually bought two of these and gifted one to a friend. The only selenite in my collection, and it's this gorgeous selenite snowflake. I bought this for one reason and one reason only. And that was because it reminded me of the snowflake on Quicksilver, and I thought they would look cute next to each other. Similarly, the only piece of pyrite I have is this one. You can see me in the reflection there. This is a pyrite moon. I also have one random star being skull. I thought this looked like a little alien head that I could put on my alien smut shelf. And then I recently won this silver sheen obsidian ankh symbol as well. I'm not well up on my Egyptian mythology, so if you know what this is supposed to be, please do let me know. And then I have two bigger carvings that I forgot to mention earlier. So the first up is this blue goldstone copy of Heavenly Bodies by Amani. If you didn't know, the Honeymoon Apothecary, where I get most of my crystals from, is actually owned by Amani. And then I don't know how I forgot this. This is a beautiful druzy flower agate egg that I recently bought from a different seller. And finally, there's just a bunch of smaller towers to go through. My two favourite towers are actually these ones. They are a mix of moss agate and carnelian. I didn't know you could get this as a combination. I didn't know they grew together, but apparently they do. A couple of other moss agate smaller towers. These small towers make a lot of appearances in my Bookstagram images. I believe this one is ocean jasper, and I think this is my only ocean jasper tower. And then I also have a tremolite one to match the tremolite moon I showed earlier. I also have this teeny tiny flower agate one. Not one, but two green strawberry quartz. I don't know why I have two, but I do. Apparently I really like this one. This one is an angel aura tower. I believe this is some kind of quartz with that aura coating. And then something I didn't know existed before I started collecting crystals is blue rose quartz. As you can see, this is a really lovely flashy one. I have this one, which I can't remember what this is. I seem to think it was opalized something. If somebody knows what this is, please let me know in the comments. It's from a while ago. Then I also have this one, which is green fluorite. I also have a lavender fluorite version. Moving into some reds, this one I believe is amphibole quartz. This one is my newest little tower. This is a super flashy fire quartz. And I believe this one is a flower agate with a carnelian base. This is the smaller rose quartz tower that I mentioned earlier. A teeny tiny little baby rhodochrosite one. I also like to call this one sexy bacon, but I feel like you can only really tell that effect in the larger pieces. This one is honey calcite, and I often pair this one with it. This one's actually a flower agate as well, but a slightly different style from the one earlier. I then have a black tourmaline in quartz, a picture jasper, which this is the only thing I have in picture jasper actually. And finally, a little baby moonstone one, which has a, there it is, beautiful blue flash. And that, I think, is everything. Let me know if there was a crystal in here that you would also love to have in your collection. Or if you do collect crystals, let me know what your favourite crystal to collect is in the comments below. If this video wasn't for you, then that is absolutely fine. I will be back for you next week with a bookish video. But until then, I will see you in the next one.